So we will start the panel number 2, of this event, which is called the role of the nuclear energy in decarbonizing the future of Romania. So I will invite next to me, the speakers of this panel, Mr. Eli Corsofini from the U.S. Embassy in Romania, Mr. Andrei Radulescu, which is representing here RoPower Romania, and Mr. Mincă, who is representing Framatome. A short introduction of our speakers. So I will start with Mr. Eli, and we are very happy that he was available to join us. Mr. Eli Corsofini is a commercial officer working in the Embassy of the United States in Romania. And he will speak us, he will say some couple of words about the importance of the SMRs in Romania and in the region. Mr. Eli Corsofini joined the U.S. Embassy Commercial Service in 2020 and currently is a commercial officer in the U.S. Embassy in Romania. Prior to this position, he served as a commercial attaché in the U.S. Embassy in Cairo, Egypt. So, Mr. Fini, if you are kind to say a couple of words about the importance of SMR technology in Europe, in United States, in Romania.
Of course. Hello? Okay.
Yeah, it's working.
Thank you so much, Elena, and thank you to Wolf Theiss and Brian for inviting me here to participate in a very important discussion. I want to say right off the bat that I am not an expert in nuclear energy or really in energy in general. I am learning, absolutely. But my role is to be a guide, a Sherpa, an advocate for U.S. interests in the commercial space, in foreign markets, and of course, being here stationed in Romania, that's my current mandate. So I just wanted to share a few thoughts really on behalf of the U.S. government and the U.S. Foreign Commercial Service, which I'm a part of, about how we see this technology playing a role, of course, in a decarbonized future. So again, I'm thrilled to be taking part today. Thank you again for having me. I want to start off by saying the U.S. very much commends Romania for its ambitious clean energy targets that it has in place, especially by 2030, which I understand it is to reduce carbon emissions by 55% and to lower its dependency on imported fossil fuels from 20% down to 17%. Nuclear energy, which contributes a third of the emissions-free energy in Romania, currently will play a very big role in meeting these clean energy targets. And so it's going to be important as we go forward. So SMR, small modular reactors, which I know we'll be discussing today, and other advanced nuclear technologies are really critical to this clean energy equation because they generate far more carbon-free power at a lower cost, while also helping to decarbonize certain sectors like steel and cement production, which are really hard to abate in this field. So it will be very important. And at the same time, these technologies will help to revitalize the entire nuclear energy industry. So the U.S. government itself is very proud to play a role in helping Romania achieve its clean energy goals through nuclear power. Worldwide, our U.S. Department of Energy has invested more than $400 million since 2014 in order to help accelerate the development and deployment of SMRs. So we see it as a really important component, and as a result, American industry is helping to lead the way in the deployment of this technology. And here locally, of course, the U.S. is playing a role with Romania in cooperating on SMR development because the U.S. government, along with Romania, sees a carbon-free future as an imperative. So we see SMR development creating new jobs, strengthening European energy security, and really just helping to address the climate crisis head on. In fact, and Brian, I was discussing this with you earlier, Romania is really a leader and a model for others in the region. I think others like Poland and other countries in the region want to get to a point where Romania is today because it's leading the way and it's utilizing U.S. SMR technology, which we're very proud of. And it really underscores the strength of the U.S.-Romania strategic partnership, and energy plays a really key role in that partnership. Beyond just clean energy production, SMR technology has the ability to be used in clean hydrogen production, industrial heating, water desalination. So not just helping to decarbonize, but also to help get better clean air and clean water, which are important aims in and of themselves. Another great thing that we see with SMRs is that they have the ability to replace old coal-fired power plants, because SMRs can retain the workforce that comes from traditional coal power plants, meaning those positions are transferable and helping to keep the workforce in place. Now, of course, financing is a really key part of this, and that's what's going to determine the success of SMR technology and clean power in general. So that's why we're really proud of the fact that American financial institutions such as the U.S. Exim Bank and the U.S. IDFC are playing an important role in helping to finance this technology going forward. We've seen there's been a drastic increase in European energy prices over the last couple of years, and this is underscoring that energy security is critical to national security. I don't need to tell you that climate change, the war that's happening in Ukraine, have really, contributed to the current energy crisis that we see ourselves in, underscoring the fact that we need clean energy to help solve this crisis. So again, we're really excited that SMRs will play a large part of the solution in achieving and accelerating this transition to a decarbonized future. And again, on behalf of the U.S. Commercial Service, we're very proud that American industry is playing a role in this endeavor towards a clean, carbon-free environment for Romanians, for Americans, and really for the entire world. So again, I just want to speak on behalf of the embassy, saying that we're here on behalf of American industry to help Romania achieve these clean energy targets, and we see SMRs as being an integral part of that equation. Thank you.
Thank you also, Eli. So it seems that we are working together, let's say like this, with American industry, to get this project, developed in Romania, the SMR project in Doicești. With these words, I will kindly invite also Andrei Radulescu to take the floor, and as a small introduction about him, because maybe you don't know him. He's known in the let's say roles of the young energy leaders, in the association, but it's also a director, a SMR expert, of RoPower nuclear, and he will give us today some consideration about the development of this project, of this SMR project at Doicești. A few words about Andrei as a small presentation. So he's in this role, in RoPower. He's involved in the coordination and development of the SMR project at Doicești. And this project represents the first step, in the big efforts of Romania, going on this path of decarbonization, and also implementing a new carbon-free technology. So these are the main task of Andrei in this company, and he will tell us, some inside information about the development of this project.
Sure, if I can make this work. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. If I may stand up because I have a presentation,
Yeah,
it makes it easier for me
please
to
do.
navigate through the slides. So first of all, thank you for having me here. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you, Eli, for the very great job you've done. This is a really good segue to my slides today. So without further ado, let me start. Okay, so let me start by first giving you a brief background about the project that we are currently developing in RoPower. It goes back to a couple of years now, in November of 2021, where during the COP summit, our President Klaus Johannes and the US Special Presidential Envoy for Climate John Kerry announced for the first time building Europe's first small modular reactor in Romania. As a result of that, we signed the, SNN and NuScale at that point signed the teaming agreement, and that represented the first step of what you can see on the screen that followed soon after. May 2020, this is when the Theiss location was announced. An MOU was signed as a result of that, and things really accelerated in a positive and constructive direction from there onwards. Very shortly after, the American President Joe Biden announced a grant for Romania, a $40 million grant that was going to be used to finance the first preliminary steps of the project. Soon after, we also had the EIA mission in Bucharest to just give us and enhance the confirmation that we already had for the studies that we were going to do. And then the project company that I currently represent today here, RoPower, was incorporated in the autumn of 2022. Very soon afterwards, we actually managed to get the money that I mentioned previously. The $40 million grant was granted to begin the FEED phase 1 contract. And then very shortly after that, we also signed the 2 fundamental contracts that allowed the project to start. Right, navigating through this year, where the very interesting things and first set of deliverables have arisen. This is when the FEED phase 1 and the LBD contracts started at the beginning of this year. I would also want to highlight a very important milestone and moment of the project in Romania. In May 2023, we launched what is the very first E2 center outside the US and the very first such center in Europe. That was launched and is currently in operation at the University Polytechnic of Bucharest. Very shortly after that, we also went into further negotiations with potential partners. And as such, we signed the term sheet agreement with DSP Private Equity, with their intention basically being they would be willing to invest up to $75 million into the project to be funding the next phases of it. Very recently, and that's one of the latest, biggest achievements we have made with the project, in September of this year, our Romanian nuclear regulator, in the form of CENECAN, they approved what we call the licensing basis document, which is basically setting up the regulatory legal framework for the project to develop further. So that's a very important step that will ensure full compliance to the both national and international norms, standards, and codes for the project. Okay, a few things about the project itself. As we all know, NuScale SMR is the very first SMR technology that was approved by the American nuclear regulator, USNRC, since 2020. And then what we are developing is also being developed as a first of a kind in United States of America. There is a project happening at Idaho National Laboratory in Idaho Falls in the US. And very importantly, the Romanian project, although very similar to that one, will follow shortly after the American project. So we are the second ones to basically implement the technology. Nevertheless, as I said previously, we will be complying with both national regulation in Romania and the one applicable in Europe. Not sure if you know, but the actual site where we will be developing the project used to be a coal-based plant with similar capacity to what the SMR project will be developing. A very good aspect about that is that the existing infrastructure is already there, so that represents a big advantage when we when we talk about the site. That will accelerate things quite a bit. Again, some key figures and some key headlines of the project. As I said, very similar capacity, 462 megawatts installed, consisting of 6 modular reactors, each of 77 megawatts in capacity. Additionally to that, to the nuclear capacity, what we're currently doing with success actually, we have a photovoltaic park nearby the site of the project that is already operational since this summer, and it will be producing up to 80 megawatts. A bit of the socio-economics and social impact in the region. As you can see, there will be a few hundred of permanent jobs as a result of the project being implemented. There will be over 1,000 jobs in construction, and at peak times, we will have more than 2,300 jobs in manufacturing of the project. And all in all, we will be avoiding around 4 million CO2 tons every year, which is very important. The long-term vision for this, obviously, it's great to have extended added capacity to Romania, but by doing this project, we're not just simply adding the capacity, we're looking a bit further into the future, into the long-term vision, and that is for Romania to become the catalyst of SMRs in the region. How we can achieve that? Well, basically by developing a base for production and assembly of components and important systems that are required to build such projects. Developing a hub that will ensure training for the expertise of operators and specialists needed for the projects, but also a maintenance hub, which will ensure that similar other projects can be successfully implemented and operated across the region in Europe. And lastly, but not least, Nuclear Electrica, one of our shareholders. The intent is to have it as a preferred operator given the extensive period in the operating sector. Nuclear Electrica has been operating successfully the units in Cernavoda for 27 years. One of the key milestones, again, I'll go through it very quickly. Romania has developed a E2 center, which is basically a simulator for the control room of the SMR nuclear power plant. As I said, we are the first outside the US to have such a center, and it's installed nowadays at Polytechnica in Bucharest. It's being used with success to train both the engineers, but also the future specialists and operators that we will have. A question, why Romania? I guess I've already probably gone through the key points here, but we have more than 26, almost 27 years now operating safely at the high standards of performance and efficiency nuclear power plants. Among the 440 nuclear power plants in operation across the world, the two reactors at Cernavoda, Unit 1 and Unit 2, rank first and third for the capacity factor, so that's very important. We also have around the Cernavoda industry a very mature and well-designed and rigorous, robust nuclear system with a lot of industries around it ready to support the development of SMRs. And we also have more than 50 years of experience with this regards, which is quite a lot. Political support, very strong public opinion. We do surveys every 2 to 3 years. The last time we did, 68% of the people voted favor for nuclear power plant, for new nuclear projects, such as the SMRs, but also some of the other strategic projects that SNN is doing. And the last one, which is very important, going to the long term and looking to the future, we have a very good educational system. We are doing constant partnerships and with educational institutions. We have grants, we have internships, we have all sorts of systems and ways to get new talent into the pipeline and into the company to support us and our vision. Thank you.
Thank you also, Andrei. So it seems that we have a summary project in Romania. So these are quite a lot of information that we have received today, more that it's right now in the press, in the media, about this project. What do you think that were are the specific challenges and opportunities for the decarbonization of the future in Romania, using these similar technologies?
Sure. So maybe I would probably expand on this. I would say that we have a very good current capacity with nuclear, but we are developing new capacities. Yeah. And one of those new capacities is the SMR project, 462 megawatts more precisely. I mentioned in my presentation previously, it's not just adding that capacity. Maybe some of the older nuclear power plants, when you implement them, when you build them, you get them in operation and that's it. No, with SMRs is a new niche, is a new sector that is very important to become the first operator in the region, because with that, not just we have more capacity, but we have more opportunities, as you said, to become the leader in the region.
A leader in training.
Sorry?
A leader in training.
Well, he's leader in many areas. He's leader in pretty much what goes from each step of the project, the entire life cycle of similar SMR projects. It's from developing the supply chain, maximizing the local content in Romania, such that we can then supply those parts and those components to other projects in the country or in the region. So that's one. Sharing our expertise on how we can train the people and keep them at a very high level of professionalism that we've already proven with Cernavodă. And also is about becoming a maintenance hub, because as I said, Nuclear Electrica is very keen on being the preferred operator in the region. So there's more branches than the one that you mentioned, but we're doing our best to try and stay up with all of those and on top of those.
Okay, good for you. So what do you think that will be the role of this SMR technology at Doicești in the future of energy in Romania? I mean, when we are starting to do the rehabilitation works at reactor number 1 in Cernavodă, this technology will replace somehow
okay,
the period of...
We, obviously in Raw Power, we have our own project here. So the refurbishment project that you mentioned, as well as units 3 and 4 at Cernavodă, those are projects that Nuclear Electrica is currently leading. We as a project company, we are doing our own bit, which is the SMR project. And although it could be perceived as a way of, maybe compensating for some of that energy for a very limited time, I believe, as I said previously, it has its own life as a project, and it has its own opportunities to grow further. It's not just the 462 megawatts, it will be more than that, it will be thousands.
Okay.
And that's on the energy front. We can also talk about security and safety. You can imagine safety and security in the nuclear space is priority number 0 when it comes to a nuclear operator and when it comes to a state that operates nuclear. And Romania is one of those. And as I said previously in my presentation, through Cernavodă experience and expertise, we have received numerous awards and recognitions in the industry worldwide to be one of the top nuclear operators out there. And we'll make sure to keep that, maybe even improve it with the SMRs. Locally speaking, in Doicești, that will most likely have a positive impact on the industry. We want to localize as much of the production, so it's not just about a temporary job in construction and getting the project ready, but it's also continuing afterwards with the local workforce in the
Maintenance,
region. Yeah. So you can see a whole range of social, but also economical and strategic impacts or benefits, opportunities, you call it, by having this new sort of technology.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If we have questions in the room, yeah.
So I'm going to monopolize the microphone here. I'm very interested. It's fascinating to me that how you selected Doicești and the fact that you, instead of going with a greenfield, effectively went with a brownfield, an old industrial platform. And I had a few questions around that. One was, how much market research did you have to do to determine that location? 2, just out of curiosity, how much earlier had that plant been decommissioned, or was it in the process and this sort of accelerated? And then 3, from a technical perspective, I'm not familiar with the location. Is it located near a water source or for the cooling towers? So if you could maybe amplify a bit on the site selection, because to me it's really an intelligent choice, because you're taking what would otherwise have been a decaying industrial platform, already had the infrastructure, as you noted, and to the point that Eli made, you may be able to educate the workforce so that from a social perspective, you take former, dirty coal power plant people, you retrain them to work in a state-of-the-art nuclear plant.
Sure, exactly. Thank you very much for the question. So I'll start with the first part with regards to how the site was identified and you said selected. Well, I'll emphasize this word and maybe try to replace it with preferred candidate site. So in 2021, we received a grant from the US government, from the USTDA, of $1.2 million. And that money was used to carry out and conduct a study with regards to potential sites and candidate sites in Romania for an SMR project. Out of that study that was quite complex and took into consideration both European but also international regulations such as EIA, SSG 35 standards and so on. You can talk about those a lot. So after doing that study, we came to the conclusion that Doicești was the preferred candidate to take the work to the next level. But that was considered a preferred candidate. Right now, we are currently in the preliminary phases of the project. We are doing the FEED phase 1, so that's the front-end engineering and design, how they call it in the industry. That is a study that basically comprises of different sorts of activities and studies of technical nature, looking into the preferred site that we have chosen as preferred for now, and is also trying to enhance the level of comfort we get into that site, into the technology mated to the site, but also is looking to adapt the specifics of the technology to the best knowledge and capacity that we have on that site. So with regards to knowing the site, we know it quite better. We now are doing even more work to consolidate our decision. And towards the end of the FEED, which is still some months away, we'll have a much better and clear vision of what needs to be done next when we take the final investment decision. Now, with regards to I think I haven't covered the second part of your question. What was that again? Sorry?
The second part was about the idea of, not use the word selecting, but using a brown.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, looking at a brownfield and also whether the impact, a retrained workforce, whether that played into the decision or a decision that will ultimately be made.
Yeah. So when it comes to brownfield versus greenfield, it's not just happening in Romania, and it's not just happening with Doicești site. This is a trend that we've noticed across the globe, whereby it's very efficient and clever to try and capitalize on a brownfield location that, especially if it's got the infrastructure needed for a SMR project, and especially if it's one like Doicești, where the power capacity of the old coal-based plant is very similar. Actually, it's a bit more, but very similar with what the requirements for the SMR project is. By doing that, you ensure that you minimize the cost you need to invest, and you also shorten the time.
Excuse me for saying, but from a regulatory perspective, you won't face the opposition, for example, from the Ministry of Agriculture, because it's a site that's already deemed to be out of the circuit, or it's already, to some extent, perhaps contaminated. So maybe there'll be some remediation, but it's already an industrial platform.
Yeah, as I said, it will shorten the overall calendar of the project. And then to your last point, I believe, you also mentioned the workforce. There's a huge opportunity with that, because one of the key challenges, and that's not just in Romania, but it's everywhere, is how you make sure you get the right workforce and you train it to the right standards. It's across industries. It will be in the nuclear. We've acknowledged it, and we're doing our best to overcome that. And the E2 Center at the University Polytechnic of Bucharest is such proof that Romania is well regarded and currently benefits from a very unique technology that only exists otherwise in the States and in our country more recently.
How long will it take us, Andrei, to get this project to end?
Sure. So you can imagine it's a nuclear power project. It's not easy, but I think we have a very good level of clarity right now. As I said, we are currently developing the FEED phase 1, and there will be a phase 2 as well, at the end of which we will have the best level of clarity we can get out of the preliminary studies and analysis we would have done by that point. And to our estimations right now, which are, again, very good and reasonable, but will get better by the end of the FEED, we believe by the end of this decade, we will have the very first modular reactor of the plant in operation and connected to the national grid, producing electricity, basically.
Which are the challenges from the permitting point of view? Do you have some challenges? I mean, the Commission for Nuclear Activities has a visibility of what they are going to issue with respect to the permits and authorizations?
Sure. This is one of the most complex areas of any nuclear project in general, and also applies to Doicești. But even in this preliminary stage of the project, we've done the best that we could to ensure a smooth transition with Cenecan and a smooth interface with them when the time asks for it. As an example, we have done the LBD. There was a quick mention in the slides about that. That's the licensing basis document. So what that does, it's a very long document which comprises all the standards and all the norms and all the specifics that will need to be followed by NewScale and by us to make sure the project meets all the prerequisites in time to be licensed whenever that moment arrives. Because licensing is a long process. Yeah. We have done the preliminary phases of it, but we will go into it after.
So this preliminary phases is regarding the design, only the design of the capacity.
As I said previously, this preliminary phase of the project is much more than that. So on one hand, it comprises of various studies and technical activities characterizing the site, okay, improving and consolidating our level of understanding and to confirm that we're happy with it. We know we're happy, but we want to do that extra mile, extra job to make sure it's the right thing to do. But we also, the FEED phase is not just the technical phase of the project, it also estimates costs to a very good degree of accuracy, but it also estimates the calendar. And the more you do, the more and more accuracy you get. It's standard. It's not out of the good practices that other countries and projects have done in the past. And this is what we're doing. We're following the same.
Yeah, okay. So a very well permitted project.
Sure. We are nuclear state. We are well regarded. Yeah. It's not going to change.
And it's about the security.
Exactly.
Yeah, the security of the people using this technology.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, thank you. If there are some other questions, we have a question in the back, please. If someone can get the microphone there.
Bogdan Tudorake, Energonomics. I have a very short question. Why put all the 6 reactors in the same place? They are modular.
Sure. So, as you know, there has been a lot of technical analysis, but also feasibility analysis into what would be the best solution for Doicești. SMRs, one of the greatest advantages is they're flexible, but with this project, our aim is to tackle big objectives and big capacities that Romania needs for the future. You may as well think of just one modular reactor, but that will only comprise of 77 megawatts. And for now, Romania has got very ambitious plans and goals. By 2032, we want to take out up to 4.5 gigawatts of coal-based capacity from the system. You can only do that by doing as much as you can from the beginning. That doesn't mean in the future we won't be taking advantage of this added flexibility that SMRs can bring into the market. And by saying that, you can think of maybe future projects that will have maybe 1, maybe 12, maybe 4 modules. But for now, this is our main goal, and we're trying to maximize what we can get out of it by the end of the decade to support Romania's goals of decarbonization.
Okay, we have another question.
Speaking about this 5 gigawatt of needs 4.5, yes, let's assume Romania will grow and we will need more energy, and these projects take 5-10 years to develop. I can give you the example of Poland. We have 20 gigawatt coal capacities. We plan 300 SMR units across the country. And the question would be, what is the view of Romanian government for the future of this technology? Is there any plan? Is something written for the future? Or is the first Doicești project as a showroom? And then if it's okay, then the things go faster.
Okay, so I can maybe try and divide your question and my answers to that. First of all, we are very certain that this project will be a success. Secondly, we are fairly confident with regards to the timeline of implementation. As I said, towards the end of the decade, we will have the first module. Very shortly after, the next 5 will follow the first one. Thirdly, with regards to our strategic vision, Nuclear Electric, our main shareholder of Raw Power, has got a strategic nuclear program which comprises of several different projects: refurbishment of Unit 1, Units 3 and 4 in Cernavoda using CANDU technology, which is already proven and being used in Romania, the SMR project as a start. But there is something quite important that I keep mentioning to everyone here. It's not just about having one project, it's about becoming the leader in the region. And that means, you can imagine multiplying what the first project will give us by, I don't know, X times. How big that X will be, we'll see, but there's definitely demand. And I'm pretty certain if you look at countries internationally, including Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, following John Kerry's announcement recently in Romania, I know that these countries are also embarking and doing very fast steps into doing what we've already done. So I think we're in a good position right now, and we will stay on this track to try to become a leader and build as many capacity as we can. Help the countries around us doing that as well.
Okay, if there are no other questions about this summer project in Deutsche, I will go further to Mr. Theodor Mincă, who is country manager at Frematon, and who will speak in this panel about the nuclear energy role in zero emission. Mr. Mincă is a very well-known senior executive with more than 20 years experience in energy and working in multinational companies. Yeah, and with more than 400 millions euro projects, yeah, in implementing energy projects and also in saving and energy efficiency field. Yeah, so Theodor joined Frematon in 2021, and since then he's doing a very good job, yeah, in working, yeah, in securing the supply chain, yeah, for the technology that is necessary for the rehabilitation works in reactor number 1 in Cernavoda.
Thank you very much, Adina. Thank you very much, Brian, for inviting us to this very interesting and challenging discussion. I'm very pleased to speak about Framatome as a nuclear stakeholders, which is involved in the decarbonization for more than 16 years. And Framatome is working on a day-to-day to the 18,000 employees which we have all around the world, and which are serving more than 380 reactors. Out of these 380 reactors, 92 Framatome, it's the OEM. On top of that, we are in the continuous development, and we are hire more than 2,000 people, colleagues, we like to say, every year. We deploy a knowledge management program. We are developing advanced training as well as continuous experience on the floor together with our customers. We launched Framatome Excellence Center in welding, robotic, machining, calculation, and additive manufacturing. As everybody know, Romania is the only country in Europe operating CANDU reactors. And that's why Framatome is very keen to work together with CANDU Energy in serving CANDU reactors. In 2021, we acquired in Canada RCM technology to get closer to the service and maintenance of CANDU reactors. We perform several jobs in CANDU reactors in Canada and in Argentina. And also we are continuing investment in the R&D in innovation programs. And in the past year, we invest more than 1 billion euro in increasing our capacity, developing new products, standardization, and also excellence in quality gain on lead time, because we know sometimes in nuclear energy, we need to deliver very, very quick. Also, Framatome is working in the lifetime extension, and this is basically the main goal of our presence in Romania. We want to be involved in the Unit 1 rehabilitation. SNN, it's, I will say, a traditional customer for Framatome. We are working for a couple of years together. We deliver several projects. The last one, we just won with one of our local partner, the maintenance for hydrogen monitoring system in Unit 1 and Unit 2 in Cernavoda NPP. Basically, we are develop our strategies in 5 axes and 5 cross-functional programs. We have a proven and sustainable expertise, performance in delivering, agile and adaptive organization, safe and competitive solutions, and international development. The 5 cross-functional programs, it's operational excellence, commercial excellence, knowledge management, and that's why we want to be very close to the teaching system, and we have a lot of cooperation with institutions all over the world. We are trying to develop also a cooperation with universities here in Romania, system engineering and digital transformation. We see everybody what's happened regarding the energy prices and also the increased awareness of the importance of energy independence, not only in Europe, but all around the globe. And we saw that Europe is facing big challenges by having nuclear included in the complementary delegated act of taxonomy. This means a big challenge and also great opportunities for Europe and in general for the entire world, because achieving zero emission by the mid-century need a robust and sovereign nuclear supply, deep decarbonization of industry and economy, and address the needs of an increasing demand for electricity and ensure the securing of energy supply. At the same time, nuclear is the only permanent carbon-free energy source which can massively produce electricity at stable and affordable cost. And various nuclear energy applications are now targeted as process heating, clean hydrogen production, and desalination. Also, living in this completely challenging world, we are facing, like everybody, the volatility, the uncertainty, the complexity and ambiguity in everything we are doing. It's not only the energy prices are volatile, but also the prices of raw materials and goods are unpredictable. Our supply chain is relying on many actors and factors, making them sometimes ambiguous. And in addition, our industry must follow very, very demanding regulation. Facing the challenges, Framatome takes great care in building a robust and reliable supply chain with partnership, choice of a panel of suppliers that ensure European sovereignty of our solutions, support our supplier program to ensure highest quality of the overall project delivered. We are in a continuous developing in the region. We launched recently Framatome Bulgaria. We are in the last, I would say, steps of having our local company, because in this moment we are only a rep office starting from 2021. And we'll be very pleased soon to announce the launching of Framatome SRL. As a conclusion, nuclear is back, and it's part of the equation for zero emissions. And we should not take these opportunities for granted. This future will be bright as long as we commit ourselves all along the valuable chain. Thank you very much.
Okay, Theodor, I have some questions for you. Regarding this work of Framatome in supplying the technology for reactor number 1 in Cernavodă, can you please tell us some words? I mean, which is the contribution of Framatome to this project?
Thank you for the question, Adina. As I said, we at Framatome, we are working at the robustness and sovereignty of our own supply chain. And this is very important for us, and our supplier engagement capability are necessary to meet the final customer needs. And here we take a lot of consideration to have a stable supply chain, and we want enough supplier with the adequate production capabilities. We support our supplier to a dedicated supplier quality program. And also we have a teamwork together to improve the quality of our services and maintenance we are delivering to all of our customers. All these actions require a good coordination to ensure security of supply, performance and compliance of the supply chain. And you always putting on the first step security, the safety of what we are delivering to the customer. Safety is, I will say, number one point in Framatome each time we are discussing. Regarding let's say the final successful contribution to erection and operation of nuclear power plants, we increase our presence near to the nuclear power plants, and as I said, we are very close to open finally the Framatome SRL here in Romania and to be able to deliver full service and maintenance to our customer here.
So do you have a presence here, a local presence?
We have a local presence. I'm alone in this moment because we are only a rep office, but we are working with a supply chain. We have partners to whom we are participating in tenders if you are not participating direct with our entities.
Understood. So we see a revival, of the nuclear energy, in whole Europe. What are the essential contribution, for accompanying this renewal? Which are the main points?
Yes, we see, and it's public now, the nuclear program of France, the nuclear program of UK. Canada launched recently also a challenging program, and Framatome wants to be part, and it's part of this project. And as I said, our first priority is the nuclear safety, occupational safety being Framatome #1 priority. Second, we consider our customer to deliver to our customer projects and services in a timely and competitive manner. Third, our customer count on robust and reliable skills and competencies, which we want to offer each time it's possible. And that's why we hire more than 2,000 people every year to be able to deliver in time and to be present in all these projects. And fourth, anticipate needs and prepare the evolution of nuclear project. That's why Framatome is investing more than 100 million every year in research and development.
Mm-hmm. Should we understand that you said earlier that you are using service companies, in delivering the services, to the customer?
Yes, we can say we are using service companies, yes.
So you are using also local manpower,
Yes, in this moment we are using and we are cooperating with a lot of companies here in Romania. That's why we want to develop a very clear and safe supply chain, local supply chain.
To deliver the product to the customer.
To deliver the products and the services to the customer, yes.
Okay, so that means that it's also important for the local industries, to work on these products, and delivering the last products to the customer, to what let's say directly to nuclear electric.
Yes, we are counting a lot on the local supply chain.
Mm-hmm. Okay. If there are some other questions from the room, it's so 2 questions.
First of all, thank you again, Theodor, for being a speaker on the panel.
Thank you, Brad.
Obviously, Framatome is a leader in the nuclear sector, and we've talked sort of at a more micro level about Romania and even Europe. But I'm curious, what are you seeing as a company in terms of global opportunities and potential? And is Framatome active in other markets such as North America, Asia, the Middle East? Some of the markets where we're seeing a sort of nuclear renaissance, you mentioned the investments you've made. Are you looking at other, and this is a more of my own personal interest because it's not really necessarily related to the Romanian decarbonization, but maybe it'd be interesting to hear about what you as a player in the nuclear industry are seeing in other parts of the world, that this is actually a global renaissance perhaps and not just isolated to Romania or even to Europe.
Thank you, Brian. I can speak about what things are, let's say, already public regarding the acquisition. Framatome recently bought Rolls-Royce in France, which is basically involved in the instrumentation and control. And also we are, as I mentioned, we are playing in other markets in Brazil and Argentina. We are very present in Canada. Our colleagues recently changed in Bruce Power the steam generator in one of Candu market, and we opened together with Candu a Candu Excellence Center in Canada for serving Candu customers. So yes, we are part of this. We are part of this world. There will be several announcements which will come regarding, let's say, new developments and new market. But this is part of the process, and I cannot talk about that. Thank you. Thank you.
Another question?
Thank you so much. I would like to reference the issue, just a general understanding of the international project financing of this type of project. I took a look at on the internet, and I'm not sure how, if I understand correctly, are you planning to finance these projects, how to attract new investors, and in terms of arbitration or other standards of protection of the investors, what exactly are you promising? Because President Biden himself wants to make sure that U.S. is exiting some ISDS in order to ensure a future energy, and there are some current problems here in Europe. If you are taking a look at the Energy Charter Treaty, because some of the European countries, including Romania, want to exit the treaties in order to ensure a green future. And to be more specific, if I understood correctly, you are using for this nuclear project the plant and the assets that are already installed, and they belong to a company. I'm interested who is the owner of that company, if it's state-owned enterprises, and if that might be a problem in attracting investors. So who is the sponsor of this Deutsche project? Thank you so much. And arbitration, if you are planning to attract new investors, what's the standard of transparency in an arbitration with regards to potential energy disputes? Thank you so much.
Okay, so I guess that question was for me.
The question was for Andrea.
Right. It's a very long question.
Yeah.
If I would give you a proportional answer, it would take us until tomorrow. So if you could kindly repeat maybe the main bit of the question, I would very much appreciate that.
Okay. International project finance. So who is the sponsor of this project? You mentioned that you will receive a grant for the US, from the US embassy, but who owns the plant? Is it the Romanian state, or is it that company Electrica, owned by Tiberium Mureșan?
I got your question now, thank you.
And I understand that attracting investors, it's a working product. And there are some arbitration issues in the area. With regards to potential energy, what standards of protection do you ensure to future investors in this type of projects?
Sure.
Thank you so much.
No worries. So, as you can imagine, being a nuclear project, this will have a very complex mechanism of financing, and which also depends on what phase of the project you're looking at. You began your question, I guess, with the US government involvement in the project. That started from the early days of the project, whereby we got those grants that I mentioned. Firstly was the grant that was worth $1.2 million. That was the very first grant that helped us conduct the initial studies with regards to the potential candidate sites, at the end of which we selected as preferred site Doicești. Then we also had a very important contribution from the US government announced by President Joe Biden in 2022, whereby he confirmed that the preliminary phases of the project, the one that I mentioned we're currently under, FEED phase 1, was going to be financed, again, with a non-reimbursable grant by the US government. So up to this point, indeed, there's a lot of US government involvement. But as you can imagine, as the project progresses, there will be more and more players getting into this. And when I say that, I still look at the US government. Through the recently announced partnership at G7 summit in July of this year, again, President Biden made a very important announcement, whereby he confirmed there will be a public and private partnership totaling up to $275 million directed or to be directed towards our project and developing it further. Out of which that 275, we've already signed an agreement with DSP Private Equity, which is a Korean fund. They have expressed their intention, they're a private fund, and they have expressed their intention that as part of this partnership announced by the US president, they would be contributing to our projects with $75 million. So you can see, as the project evolves, we keep on getting financing from maybe the state, obviously increasing magnitude as the project has more and bigger needs, but we also tapping into the private sector. And you know what better news to have than an announcement made by the US president to confirm there will be plenty of funds, both of state and private nature, coming our way. And with respect to Romanian landscape of financing, we are also looking at a mechanism that will involve both debt and both equity. And that, I guess, gives you the answer, because that can go into a wide range of subjects, including state aids.
Financial institution and so on.
Yeah, but also private.
Yeah.
I still don't understand who is the owner of the...
Oh, I think maybe I mentioned, I didn't mention. Raw Power is the project company that is being owned equally at this moment in time by Nuclear Electrica.
Okay, so
And
it's
then
a
the other
state-owned
50%,
company, yes, I understand now.
The other 50% is owned by E-Infra. But the structure is subject to evolving.
Can be amended during the time, yeah, and depending
And it
on
will.
the needs of financing these works. I mean,
Yeah.
you need to find financing for development, for the future development of this project. So it's a work in progress. This is the answer of your question. Yeah, in finding financing sources for this project. So right now they have a visibility, but in the future this can be changed, and they can apply for loans, or they can receive financing from other private entities or funds or
We're
whatever.
doing a great job now. We have what we need to go.
Yeah, to go further, and it's enough, for the next period of time.
Yeah.
Until you will get the next development phase.
Sure.
Yeah. So other questions in the room, if there are other attendees who are interested in finding more about Project Theiss, because we find a lot, about this project today, information which were not previously in the press, in the media. And thank you, Andrei, for this inside information. Thank you also, Eli, for your kind words and support of the U.S. Embassy in developing this technology in Romania. Thank you also, Theodor, for your contribution, and your company's contribution to the rehabilitation works at the reactor number 1 in Cernavoda. And let's hope that we will have also good news in the future about the role of the nuclear energy in the decarbonization of Romania. Thank you all for your efforts to be here. It's not easy. Each of you have a program, you have a family, but thank you once again to be here together with us and to find more about this decarbonization future of Romania. Thank you all.